Hi everybody, my name is Jason Leskew. I'm the editor of MyFantasyAdvice.net and the managing editor of Las Positas Express newspaper. I'm here to talk to you today about the matchup between the Atlanta Falcons and the 49ers, the NFC Championship game 2013, and the key points that you'll need to focus on in order to keep track and also to predict the outcome of the game from early on. One thing that I think needs to be looked out for is how well Atlanta will stack the box and if they will use overload pressure. I believe that's what they'll do. I think that's the smartest game plan to start out with. And also how well they'll use a linebacker spy to keep Kaepernick from running like he did on the Green Bay Packers. One thing that this will give up, and they did this against Seattle, and they did it very well. It's why they won the game. But one thing that will need to be looked at very heavily is how many passing lanes this will open for Colin Kaepernick. The pistol formation is very effective in this regard, especially if they were to use Alex Smith and Colin Kaepernick in that formation, especially with Anthony Dixon, the 49ers power back, as a lead blocker. And it'll be very telling on the first drive or two how well the 49ers can move the ball if Atlanta does this, as they did against Seattle. Seattle had a lot of trouble, albeit Russell Wilson is not quite the runner that Colin Kaepernick is. Colin Kaepernick's faster than most cornerbacks, wide receivers, and running backs in the NFL, running a 4.43 40-yard dash. How well they do this will really determine the game plan for the second half for Atlanta and also for the 49ers. So that's something that really needs to be looked out for. Defensively for the 49ers, they really just use a four-man rush, which is particularly why against the Patriots, the 49ers defense did so poorly. Tom Brady's always going to be Tom Brady, but that second half with a four-man rush and the absence of Justin Smith really hurt them. And Justin Smith is doing a bit better than he was in this previous matchup against the Packers. But I still think they need to use Ahmad Brooks, Navarro Bowman, even maybe Patrick Willis if Tony Gonzalez is not in the game or on the field for a particular play, to apply a little bit more pressure to Matt Ryan. Offensively for Atlanta, I think Tony Gonzalez is a huge key, and that's something that the 49ers are going to have to focus on. He's the guy who gets them first downs. He's the guy that puts points on the board more times than not, whether it be directly or indirectly, just by opening up the field, making plays on third down, etc. So the 49ers are really going to have to clamp down on Tony Gonzalez. Offensively for the 49ers, they have a really great run game. It's incredible how many yards on the ground that they were able to get against Green Bay. We're talking over 300 rushing yards, 181 for Colin Kaepernick, 119 for Frank Gore, and one major question or concern I might have is how well they're going to be able to move the ball around the field. Since Kaepernick has become the starter, Vernon Davis has been pretty quiet. All year we haven't seen much A.J. Jenkins at all. First-round draft pick out of Illinois. We've seen a bit of Randy Moss and a whole lot of Crabtree. But if the Falcons do use a lot of overload pressure or stack the box, it's going to open up passing lanes. And that's something the 49ers are going to have to capitalize on in order to win the game. And like I said, use Anthony Dixon in blocking. And I would love to see Alex Smith and Colin Kaepernick in the same play in the pistol. It creates so much confusion because you can direct snap it to Kaepernick, you can snap it to Smith, have him pitch it to Kaepernick. Or you could just have Smith throw to Davis. They still have so much chemistry and together, and I think that would be the best trick play type option that Jim Harbaugh and Greg Roman can use. And keep in mind, these guys created Andrew Luck as we know him today. They were both at Stanford together. They both came to the 49ers together the same year. And there's no telling how powerful the 49ers offense can be when you have two all-pro quarterbacks that can be in on the same play. So that's something to look out for. Offensively for Atlanta, like I said earlier, getting the ball to Tony Gonzalez is going to be huge. He's been their guy. He's the reason they had such a good record. He's the reason why they're where they're at now. Another thing to look out for is the 49ers have had a lot of trouble stopping a power runner. Finesse runners, as the smaller running backs, have had no problem at all stopping them. But as we saw against the Rams, Steven Jackson was able to plow right through the 49ers defensive line and get a really great net average. Julio Jones on the short inside slants has been another factor for the Falcons. I think that they will continue to use those plays, maybe even wide receiver screen a few times. And Roddy White also on the outside, 10, 15-yard deeps passes, and maybe even more. It's the Atlanta offense is really, for your typical balanced NFL offense, is about as good as it gets. And that's going to be a serious test for the 49ers defense. If the 49ers do win, whether they play Baltimore, who I believe they will, but particularly the Patriots, who are the favorite, albeit even though they're the favorite in Vegas, the general consensus, and I agree with this too, totally, the Baltimore Ravens have a great chance of beating the Patriots. That'll be in the future, obviously. Another huge, something that's really just hard to predict is how well the 49ers secondary can match up against Roddy White. He's a huge receiver. He's fast. He knows the game extremely well. And if the 49ers secondary can't keep up with Roddy White, the 49ers offense is going to have to work very hard for them to win the game. If the 49ers can clamp down on Roddy White, whether it be double coverage or what have you, then it'll really, really shut down one of the Falcons' biggest big play options. Tony Gonzalez is a big play option, but not like Roddy White is. He's just a lot to handle. And as far as size and matchups go, it's going to be very difficult for the 49ers defense to handle. My prediction is 42-28 49ers. So a little bit closer than the Packers. I like to discount that last Packers touchdown in the divisional game because there's no way that the Packers were going to win, and unless it's a close game, I'll discount any touchdown after the 2-minute warning. Well, that's it. I'll be back shortly with a preview of the Baltimore Ravens New England Patriots game. Thank you very much.